Chapter 1. We start off as someone says, "So, do you remember meeting me?" That's what I asked him. Now we see a guy and a girl. As the guy keeps a straight face, the girl says, "But he asked me right back." I can't ask the same thing twice, right? We see that the girl is blushing as she says this. The girl looks confused as she calls the guy's name. The guy starts tweaking out and suddenly screams as he points to the girl and says, "That's where you killed yourself. You are the losing heroine." Hearing this shocks the girl. We see that this girl is Manaka Kawashima. She is a losing heroine. As she is hearing this, she is in shock and disbelief. The guy explains to us that he's someone who cheers on this kind of heroine. In other words, he's what you would call a background character. We see him telling us that he noticed something strange while on his way to school. As he's on the cycle, he sees a girl and a boy in a lucky pervert scenario. The girl screams at the guy and asks him, where does he think he's touching, and calls him a perv. The guy tells her that she's the one who bumped into him and defends himself. As these two people argue, we see our MC, Kimura, cycle ahead as he thinks that it's such a cliche to bump into someone at a corner and end up in a lucky perv situation. He continues and says that the abnormality number 2 is that girl then showed up as a transfer student. As the girl is being told where her seat is, we see her tweaking out. She sees that the guy who crashed into her is in the same class. The guy and the girl scream in unison and say, "Why are you in the same class as me?" As they both do this, Kimura looks at them as he's shocked. He thinks that yet another cliché development. He wonders, with stuff like this, doesn't this mean we are going to have a losing heroine? As he thinks this, he suddenly hears someone say, "No way," in a sad voice. We see that it's the losing heroine with tears in her eyes, and all gloomy looking. Seeing her like this makes Kimura realize that this girl is the losing heroine. Kimura explains that this is a strange story, but seemingly this whole world is a rom-com centered around Akun. Even the conveniently empty seat right next to Akun. Even the conveniently placed double heroines. As we see Akun accidentally grope some assets, Kimura explains that even the conveniently timed lucky perv moments for him. Ayame then beats Akun and calls him the worst perv before she goes off. Kimura sees this and thinks that there's no freaking way to explain this world unless it's a rom-com. Everything about it is so old-fashioned, even Ayame's reaction. As Ayame goes away, Kawashima goes to him and asks him if he's all right. Akun looks pissed as he thanks Kawashima and says that Ayame is a violent girl. Kawashima replies and says that he shouldn't say things like that. Ayame just transferred here after all. Kawashima warmly smiles and tells Akun that he should be the one to support Ayame. Kimura hears this and gets shocked as he thinks, she went and put her rival ahead of herself. As Kimura looks at Kawashima send Akun to Ayame, he thinks that she's way too kind. Kimura suddenly screams and says if you do that, he will never notice you. Hearing this shocks Kawashima. She gets all excited and goes close to Kimura and asks, "You're well versed in love, right? Please teach me." And because of this, Kimura made up his mind. By mobilizing every bit of his knowledge of rom-coms, he will make Manaka Kawashima win. Now we see Kawashima and Kimura discussing. He says, "First, let's sort out the relationships. You're childhood friends with him, right?" She stutters and says, "Yes." She smiles and tells him that they were childhood friends, but she moved away when she was 6. They used to be really close. Suddenly she gets gloomy and tells him that it seems like Akun doesn't remember anything at all. As she's crying, Kimura asks her if they made a childhood marriage promise. She looks confused at first. Kimura gets serious and says, I'm asking if you two made a marriage promise." She gets nervous and tells him that was just them fooling around as kids. It did happen, but it's nothing. Suddenly, Kimura screams and tells her that's exactly what she needs to bring up. Right now, her character is too weak to compete with Takabe. Kawashima has no edge. She's got no sharpness. Hearing that she has no sharpness hurts her. He tells her to look at Takabe. She's such a textbook tsundere. She's full of contrast. That sharpness is amazing. Her impact just keeps piling up. Hearing this confuses her. He continues and tells her that she'll fight back with a past episode. She should go tell Akun one more time, lay her past bare. He screams and tells her that whoever puts it all out there wins. Hearing this encourages her as she says that she's got it. At an isolated place in the school, we see Kawashima calling Akun. As he turns around, she tells him that she's the girl from back then. She blushes as she asks, "Do you remember me?" As she says this, the wind blows real hard. Akun looks confused as he asks her what did she say. He couldn't hear because the wind was too loud. Kawashima flusters and gets embarrassed and tells him that it was nothing. Kimura sees this from the back and calls out to her and tells her that the teacher is looking for her. Kimura screams at her and asks her why did she dodge it in such an overused way again. She gets embarrassed as she says no way repeatedly. He gets worried for her and tells her, I get it, Kawashima. The thought of him not remembering is scary. But statistically speaking, before he could finish, she tells him that seeing him up close was so cool that she just blanked out. She says this as she giggles and gets shy. He strictly tells her that firstly, she has to make Akun remember that she's his childhood friend and that she made a marriage promise, and then create a gap between how she was back then and how she is now. She screams and says, use those twin tails to fuel your sun side, but she panics and tells him that if she suddenly acts like that, she'll just seem emotionally unstable. He changes the topic and asks her, doesn't she have any memories with Akun? She thinks about it for a minute and tells him that there used to be a park around here where they always played. As he thinks about the park, he suddenly gets an idea and says, a park full of memories. He screams at her and tells her that this is it. This is perfect. He tells her to send him a letter anonymously. Tell him that she'll be at that park. Hearing this confuses her. She asks him what does he mean by this. Kimura replies and tells her that this town has a ridiculous amount of parks. If she just vaguely says she'll be waiting at that park, people ordinarily wouldn't know which one she's talking about. But if Akun remembers what the park of memories means, he will definitely come. Hearing this brings some hope to her. Kimura continues and says once she meets him there, Akun is bound to remember the past too. And then, right there, she confesses. Hearing the confession part of the plan makes her nervous and shy. Kimura continues and tells her that the Park of Memories, a childhood friend who once made a marriage promise. There's nothing left but a confession. Hearing this scares her, and she tells him to wait. Kimura continues and tells her to hear him out. The longer a heroine race drags on, the harsher it gets. If she's going to settle it, she should do it in a short and decisive battle. Kawashima starts panicking as she tells him that she can't do it. Kimura screams and encourages her that she can do it. Now, after school, we see Kimura and Kawashima going together. She sounds anxious as she stutters and asks him what should she do. What if Akun's not there? She looks worried as she tells him that she's got a feeling that he won't show up. When she met Akun after so long, he didn't remember her, so she couldn't help but feel like it was all just in the past for him. Suddenly, Kimura tells her, that's not it. Most likely, he remembers, but he hasn't connected the Kawashima from the past with the Kawashima you are right now. He continues and tells her that it just means that she has to become that much more charming, and she shouldn't put herself down. She looks unsure as she tells him that he's flattering her too much. With a straight and serious face, Kimura tells her that she will definitely meet the person she is waiting for in a rom-com. Hearing this makes her say, is that so? Now we see them reach the park. She sounds nervous as she says, maybe he really doesn't remember the past. There's no way Akun remembers. She starts doubting more and more, but she suddenly sees Akun standing there in the park and gets surprised. Kimura sees Akun there and thinks that they've won. It's Kawashima's victory. Kimura encourages Kawashima and tells her to go to Akun. As she's going, she suddenly hears Akun say, Ayame. Hearing this shocks her. We see Ayame asking Akun, what does he want? Seeing Ayame there shocks Kimura. He wonders why is Ayame at the park. He wonders if this could be on her way home. Since it's so close to school, it just became her spot. As the MC is thinking this, we see Ayame looking at Akun in confusion. Akun asks Ayame if she was the one who gave him the letter. Hearing this from afar makes Kimura think that, at this rate, Akun will think Ayame was the one who gave him the letter. Akun asks Ayame, how did she even know about this park? She looks confused from this question and tells him that it's just a shortcut on the way home. As those two are talking, Kimura looks worried as he tells Kawashima that she can still make it in time. Kawashima stays silent as she hears Akun ask Ayame, could it be that we played here when we were little? Akun continues and says, so it was you, to Ayame. Kimura once again tells Kawashima that there's still time, she can go right now and still make it. But suddenly Kawashima replies and tells him that for Akun, it's already just something from the past. She clenches her fist in frustration and says, once again, I lost. Hearing this makes Kimura frustrated and sad. He suddenly hops on his bike as he tells Kawashima to wait there. Kimura starts pedaling as fast as he can while he thinks that the school is close to this park. There is still a way. As he reaches the school, he runs to the broadcasting room. He suddenly goes to the station while the girl there asks him, what is he doing here? He apologizes to the girl and tells her that he's borrowing this. He puts the mics on full volume as he thinks that he's the only one who knows. He remembers how Kawashima helps everyone and thinks that he knows how it feels to always be stuck on the losing side. But just for today, he wants Kawashima to win. As he thinks this, he screams into the mic and calls for Ayame. His voice reaches all the way to the park. He asks Ayame to come to the faculty office immediately. Hearing this shocks Ayame. Kimura doesn't stop there. He continues and says, one more thing. There's something I want to say to the one with no confidence, the one who can't move forward. Hearing this confuses Kawashima. The MC screams into the mic and says, your past painted over with who you are now. Hearing this impacts Kawashima and how she thinks a lot. As Kawashima stands there, we see Ayame going towards the school. After Ayame goes to the school, Kawashima goes to Eikun. He looks at her and gets confused. She struggles to speak as she stands in front of him and blushes. Now, in the evening, we see Kawashima waiting for Kimura. He asks her what is she doing here, and didn't she head home with Eikun? She replies and tells him that he went back first. She continues and tells Kimura that he was amazing. Kimura looks troubled as he tells her that he got chewed out pretty badly because of the stunt he did. He asks her what was Eikun's reply to her confession. She suddenly starts to get nervous as she says, I did it. Kimura asks, I did it? You mean like, yay, I did it? She mumbles and tells him that it's not like that. She gets embarrassed and softly tells him that she asked Eikun about homework. Hearing this makes Kimura angry. He screams and says, that's not what you should have asked. In that situation, there's something much more important to hear about than homework, right? She tells him that what he's saying is true, but Eikun said his little sister had a fever, so he wanted to keep it short. Hearing this makes the MC think that he even has a little sister, which is expected of the MC. Kawashima continues and says that just the fact that he remembered her from when they were little was enough to make her happy. Kimura looks troubled as he says, but you waited all this time just to tell me that? What if you and Eikun had just missed each other? She replies and tells him that they would not have Kimura said it himself, that she will definitely meet the person she's waiting for in a rom-com. That's why she chose to believe. Hearing this surprises Kimura. As he sees her, he thinks that Kawashima is the losing heroine. Suddenly, Kimura tells her that Eikun really doesn't know what he is missing. If it were him, he would have chosen Kawashima without a doubt. Hearing this surprises Kawashima. She asks him, what's that supposed to mean? He tells her that he meant it literally, because he likes Kawashima. Hearing that he likes her shocks Kawashima. Kimura continues and tells her, I wouldn't go this far if I didn't, would I? As he tells her this, he thinks that he can't step in between those three. The world has no interest in him. She starts blushing and getting flustered after hearing that Kimura likes her. Kimura thinks that's why this is at least his way of resisting. Kawashima always gets the short end of the stick. He just wanted her to catch a break this time and have something good happen to her. He smiles and thinks that she really is an unlucky girl. Kawashima is still in shock after hearing that Kimura likes her. As they walk home together, Kimura thinks that he wants her to win. And this is how this chapter ends. Hope you all enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you.